The 1903 story, The Blue Death, could have easily been written nowadays. It's a science fiction story set in 1907, a time where we have discovered that Mars is inhabited, or maybe we have found out that the Mars inhabitants are not happy about the things we are doing on Earth, which is in the story considered a major problem. So what makes the Blue Death so modern? This is Obscure Book Adventures. I am your host Annie, and welcome to the world where electricity has become just as important as the internet nowadays. I will go into why I'm making this comparison, electricity in 1903 and the internet in 2025, why I'm making that comparison instead of the importance of electricity in 1903 with the importance of electricity in 2025. I will go into that in a minute, but first let's talk a little bit about what this short story, The Blue Death by Masters B. Stevenson, is about. This story was published in the pulp magazine The Argosy, and it was published in the December issue of 1903. And the Argosy was the first pulp magazine that was being published. But I think they started in 1896. They started to publish their magazines on this cheap pulp paper. And that's also the reason why I am reviewing this short story, as I'm doing this long ongoing pulp project. I read one pulp short story, or one pulp story, or novella, or a sequel story for every year since the pulps have started, and for some reason which is unclear to me, I'm getting stuck in 1903, and I am enjoying 1903 very much. So I think this is the fourth short story that was published in 1903 published in a pulp magazine that I am talking about. But next video I will be talking about a short story that was published in 1904. Otherwise, I keep going and I never get through to in my long ongoing pulp project. Anyway, The Blue Death is an eyewitness account of the assistant chief of the United States Secret Service, and he is James Allen. We only get to see his viewpoint in this story. And the story starts when dead bodies start popping up, and nobody knows how these people died. But they have all one thing in common. They have one or multiple blue spots. And nobody has a clue of if this is a crime or is this a disease. And like I said, this is a science fiction story, which is written in 1903, but it is set in 1907, and it's soon found out that the Martians had something to do with it, and it has something to do with electricity. The whole story is based on the fact that we can't communicate with these Martians, and scientists have to figure out what we have to do to make these Martians stop killing people with this mysterious blue death. Why am I making the comparison between electricity in 1903 and the internet now instead of comparing electricity back then and electricity nowadays? Well, of course, we can't live with without electricity nowadays. Electricity is such a great part, plays such a great part in our lives, and I can't imagine a world without it. But in 1903, people still knew how it was, what it was like living without electricity, or I should say, living without the inventions like the light bulb, which used electricity, and these inventions. Most of these inventions were invented back in the 19th century. In the late 1800s, more and more homes had electricity, and factories also used a lot of electricity and all kinds of things. But I think the main source of electricity in the regular homes was, well, the light bulb. Electric light, which was in the late 1800s, became very common in the homes of people. Like nowadays, there are still people like me around that experienced a life without the internet. For electricity, we have all kinds of things we can use when there is a power cut, although power cuts are really rare nowadays, well, at least where I live. But even we are well prepared when there is a power cut. So we have the use of solar panels, we have power banks, we have light powered on batteries and or solar cells, and big institutions like hospitals, they have an emergency generator which springs into action when there is a power cut, so nobody is in real life-threatening danger when there is a power cut. And when I'm filming this, I've been cut from the internet for 4 days, and I can tell you it was more difficult to live without the internet than I would have imagined. Even though I knew a time when we didn't have internet, I grew up without computers and internet. But now, in those 4 days, how many times have I thought, oh, I'll just look that up on the internet, and I'm then thinking, oh no, I don't have internet. And not being able to watch YouTube videos. I don't have a television, so I watch mainly YouTube videos, and I watch the odd television show on my iPad using the internet. And I can tell you, not watching YouTube videos, well, I had some sort of detox experience. I really had to detox. And I realized maybe I'm just a little bit addicted to watching YouTube videos. So maybe I need to be aware of that YouTube habit that I have. And I wasn't even cut off for 100% from the internet, as I still had my telephone subscription, and I had data on my telephone, and I could make a hotspot on my telephone and use the internet for emergencies. So I could still use and answer emails, and I could still use my bank account and important stuff like that. But buying extra data for frivolous things like watching YouTube videos, I found it a little bit too expensive. But it was a good experience for me to be aware of the facts that I watch daily YouTube videos, and I never considered this a problem. And I still watch now. I have internet. Everything is fixed, but it left some frustration. Even now it's fixed because of my Kafka experience with my internet provider. It was really a Kafkaesque incident, and it took me really a lot of calling and mailing to get this thing sorted out. But it is really important, an important experience. So I can place myself in the minds of the people in this science fiction story, which is set in 1907 and written in 1903. I can really see that the importance of the internet. I don't think we can live without the internet nowadays. Everything, if you have to apply for something, or if you have to do something, or ask for a repair or whatever, some business don't even have a telephone service. It's all email and chat functions nowadays. So I can really place myself in the minds of the people who in the story get cut off from something that has become so important, like electricity. Yes, they probably knew what it was like living without electricity. But I can imagine that living without lights and things, and factories. Well, all factories, I think they may have. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know in the comments. In 1903, did most factories transfer from steam-powered machines to electricity-powered machines? I think they probably would have switched from steam-powered machines to electricity in 1903. But anyway, I felt a connection with whilst reading this science fiction story. Although I didn't, I was cut off from the internet, but there was no blue death threatening me. But I want to explain a little bit, elaborate a little bit more about it. So I have to give you a spoiler warning. This, it turns out that in this story, the Martians need electricity because we on Earth are using too much electricity, and the Martians don't have enough electricity to survive. So these Martians are sending this really dubious message by killing people. And it's really unclear to me why they just don't communicate with us, because they are described as this really advanced race of people. Well, they're not people, they're Martians, but they have this advanced knowledge. But maybe I just missed something in the story. Maybe they were just too far away to communicate properly. Anyway, it seems to me that they must have been desperate to start killing people. So people are really living in fear, and they are desperately looking for entertainment to distract themselves. And the way Stephen writes this, it's really dystopian. Since with people in theaters laughing hysterically, and of course, well, it was 1903 when this story was written. Some people are more hysterical and panicky about this than others. Like, for example, women are just absolutely freaking out, as well as people from different ethnicity. They are also absolutely freaking out. Although later in the story, women get to be just as equally brave as men, and other people, they are just not mentioned. It's just one paragraph where it's really being I don't know the correct English word. Denigrating. I don't know if this is the English word. They were really. Stevens is really looking down and talking down on certain peoples in this one paragraph. And on page 3 of this, what is a 13 or 14 page story, they find out it has something to do with the electricity. And not much later, they find out when they stop generating electricity and they stop using electricity, nobody dies of this blue death anymore. So what are all of these other pages about? Well, Stevens throws in the threat of a war on Earth between countries. So he lets Russia sends a warship to America, and in Europe there's also the threat of a war, which I can understand, as there was an arms race going on between a lot of countries like Germany, France, the UK, other European countries as well. Of course, Russia. And Russia had problems with Japan. In the Balkans, there were problems. So I guess in 1903, there were plenty of war threats going on in the daily lives. Of course, America had a war with the Spaniards. There was the Venezuelan crisis, which is a little bit too complicated to explain in this video. But from what I understand, it boils down to the fact that the UK and Germany imposed a naval blockade on Venezuela to enforce debt payments. I don't know all the ins and outs of this, but if European countries tried to invade, this could lead to the intervention of the United States, which in its turn could lead to a war. And then there was, of course, the Philippine-American War, which just had ended in 1902. So I can really imagine why Stevens included this in his story. Another interesting element in The Blue Death is halfway through the story there is an invention, there is some sort of suit that protects against the Black Death, and which I found not in itself so remarkable, but to pay for the development and manufacturing of these suits, Stevens comes up with a rather socialist solution. People pay a percentage of their income for their suit. So rich people pay more for their life suit, as it were, than poor people. I have no idea why Stevens chose to incorporate in this story. There is some sort of friction between scientists and politicians about it, but it's just briefly mentioned and seems to be of little importance overall in this story. Maybe this decision was influenced by the fact that the Socialist Party of America was founded in 1901. And there were, of course, unions, which were also a big thing back then. So maybe this could have had something to do with it. I'm honest, I don't know. But I would have liked to see this play a more important part in the story. It could have added more suspense in the story. I think Stevens could have spiced up the story in this aspect a little bit, or put in a little bit more action or debate, verbal conflict in this story by elaborating on this topic. It could have easily been told from the viewpoint of the main character, in my opinion anyway, as he was working for the Secret Service. Another thing Stevens had was some foresight. As these advanced Martians, they lived off solar energy. And it's a little bit unclear to me if they were living off solar energy, why there was a problem with the use of electricity on Earth. But maybe this could have, I don't remember correctly, but maybe this could have been something to do with the fact that the rotation of the Earth and the rotation of Mars and the place where the sun is set. If you have any knowledge about astronomy or something, and you have more knowledge about planets, you may clarify this, but I can imagine that at some point the Earth is blocking Mars from the sun. But then again, I don't see why the Martians decide to attack, because we are having our own electricity. And as far as I understand, back in 1903, electricity wasn't powered by the sun, wasn't solar powered, but I'm not sure about it. So what about Stephen's writing style? Well, I think all in all he did a good job. The story is very relatable, even 122 years later. But telling the story from one perspective could be I thought that was a little bit of a hindrance, as I think if he would have told from different perspectives, or an all-overseeing, I don't know what it's called, but an all-overseeing eye, or jumping from the viewpoint of the Secret Service man, jumping, for example, to factory owners, or even debate between politicians, or the problems. Like, for example, Stevens could have written some revolt from the ordinary people against the politicians and scientists, or conflict between factory owners and politicians. And I think Stevens could have spiced up the story if he would have let go of this one-sided perspective of this Secret Service, Secret Service man. He could have shown the importance of electricity in daily life. He could have shown the more importance and put in more conflict and suspense in it. The importance of electricity is mentioned, but I don't see the consequences of it. The Blue Death by Masters B. Stevens is and remains an interesting one. From a historical perspective, I think. And if you compare the importance of electricity back in 1903 with the importance of the internet in 2025, this can be seen as a very modern story as well. And it can be very relatable. The story is free to download on the archive.org. It's in the Argosy Volume 44, which contains issues December 1903 to March 1904. But this story is in the December issue of 1903. So, have you enjoyed this little communication of thoughts and philosophizing? Well, give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And if you want to support the channel, you can, of course, subscribe. If you want to see more of these videos, you can also watch more of my pulp videos. I'll leave a link to my Pulp Project playlist in the description box below if you care to watch some more. There are also other great pulp channels out there, so you can also watch them as well. Thanks for watching.